What up? It's your boy Bass, and y'all tuned in to another episode of Ends Podcast. Man, you already know what I'm gonna say. Actually, y'all don't, man. But with all this stuff that's going on, rest in peace, George Floyd. Man, with all this stuff that's going on, Breonna Taylor killing, you feel me? They just had another police killing down in Atlanta. It's a lot of racial tension going on, and the city right now is it's like an ugly vibe that's going on. But in the midst of all that, you feel me? It's a lot of attention being brought to, once again, to the Black Lives Matter movement. But people, you always get that back and forth, especially when people lack the understanding and lack education. You get people that are reactionary more than, you feel me, observant. So when it comes down to the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you starting to see cities like DC, cities all across the world, Atlanta, they painting Black Lives Matter onto the actual streets of the actual cities. Now this is actually bringing some backlash and all types of stuff, which it has been already when people started first saying Black Lives Matter, then people were saying Blue Lives Matter, which is fucking ignorant. I'm just going to be all the way honest, and I'm going to explain to you in depth why it is ignorant and what ignorant actually really means. Like, ignorance means you don't know, and that's why I say you don't know. So when people say Black Lives Matter, and everybody already know this, people are not saying that other lives don't matter. Like, drill that into your head. Put your pride and your ego in aside. When people say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying that your life doesn't matter. They're not saying that the Hispanic lives don't matter. They're not saying that the Asian lives don't matter. They're not saying that the European lives don't matter. Fuck, they're not saying white people lives don't matter in general. What they saying is that our lives matter. And if you go back in history and really educate yourself, in the previous episode we were just talking about Juneteenth, like, you gotta understand we come from a culture where our lives and our livelihoods did not matter. They literally put into paper, writing, that we were not even considered human beings, that we were, what would they say, half of a man? Or 2/3 of an actual man? You feel me? We didn't get set free until the late 1800s, after America was freed and became its own independent country in 1776. You feel me? So that's when people say Black Lives Matter. You feel me? It's because we were always being pushed to the back. When it came down to our lives, and still to this day, people are still being hunted, persecuted, and prosecuted, you feel me, unjustly. Like, they literally just made a whole documentary about it. You feel me? I'm just saying this out to the world, to those that are misinformed and uneducated. You feel me? The 13 Amendments, when they was talking about the government and things of that nature, put certain strategic laws and governance around black communities and also other culturally, you feel me, influenced communities. And when I say culturally influenced, I mean Hispanics, you feel me, and things of that nature, communities, and also the Native Americans, you feel me, communities where they actually, you feel me, where people were stopped, frisked, and also tried and judged harder than other races. You feel me? So when it came down to that, who were actually hit the hardest? African Americans inside of a country that we helped build. That's what I say, Black Lives Matter. And a lot of people want to say, you you feel me, the movement is aggressive, it's things of that nature. If you have been oppressed for this amount, if you have been oppressed for over 100 years, how would you possibly feel? If you have been free for over 100 years, but you still have so many disparity gaps within other cultures, how would you possibly feel? Do you feel like your life matter? You feel me? When you grew up in a house, you feel me? When you grew up in a house, disadvantaged your whole life, when nobody came to come help you. You go to school, there's no new books, there's no clean running water, your school is not properly funded. You feel me? the sport teams and things of that nature, they've been wearing the same jerseys that, you feel me, their uncles wore. You feel me? But then you go out to these suburban schools, flat screen TVs, they take home iPods, brand new computers. You feel me? They got learning centers. You feel me? Things of that nature. They getting transportation and things like that to make sure that they are able and can perform at a higher level. You feel me? We're not getting those same type of advantages. So then that's when people say, oh, our lives might not matter. Oh, yeah, we call for the police. We call for ambulance. They're never coming. 2 hours, 3 hours later, we dying on the pavement. You in the suburbs, somebody say, oh, I seen a black person walking up my street. They coming guns blazing, 3 cars deep. Black lives should matter like that, too. Our community should matter like that, too. You feel me? That's what people mean by Black Lives Matter. You feel me? And when you pull up, you don't have to pull up guns blazing like, hey, you're armed and dangerous. You just pull up to even assess the situation. You feel me? You don't even know what the hell is going on. Why you got to draw your guns out? And the only reason I say that is because I have been one of those individuals. I have watched police brutality and felt so helpless because it was like we was young boys. We was literally young, like 13 years old, walking home in a group, and police feel like they had to make an example out of one of my guys. Yeah, and that shit stuck with us for a long time, and it stuck with him. You feel me? How the individuals that are supposed to be serving and protect you, you feel me, label, profile you, and beat you up like you a grown man, and then charge you for it. And we seeing this as youth in the inner city. So what's the first thing your mentality gonna show you? That trauma gonna have you thinking that they're not for us. They're not for us. This is a young man. You find him like he's a grown man. Talking about he's resisting. He did not resist. You slammed his face into a car for no reason because he chose to walk around it. And I'm just, you feel me? I'm going into it because I still feel some type of way about it. And there's a lot of conversation going on around the whole why is people like criticizing the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And I ain't going to go into a whole rant about actually that. I want to actually make this like an open topic where we can actually have these type of conversations. I just feel like a lot of times when people say that, it's due to a lack of education, but also a lack of awareness to what exactly it really is going on. We start to look at the inequalities and the treatment of, you know, African Americans. A lot of people say it goes on, you feel me, with them too, but you gotta understand, our history started by us being taken from somewhere else. A lot of people came here willingly. Now that we are here, treat us like, you feel me, treat us as our, you know, treat us how we should be treated. We didn't come here searching. A lot of us, like the ones that were born and raised here, a lot of us didn't come here. Our families did not come here searching for new opportunities such as other immigrants. You feel me? And they come searching for new opportunities hoping that they are going to get those. But then they figure out that, you know, it's certain disparities going on between certain communities and things of that nature and certain races. But it was like, we never had an actual choice. You know, we didn't choose to come here. We were taken here. And then we were forced into labor, you know, brutally beat, you know, traumatized, trauma that still lives on to this, you know, still to this day. And if you do your history, you will see that our communities, our race has been targeted for all type of things. If you start going into Black Wall Street, the Tuskegee Airmen, things that they don't necessarily really teach you in school and things of that nature, where they tested on black men. They gave them syphilis. They gave them, was it syphilis they gave them a disease that they allowed these men to take home back to their wives, to their family, just so that they can run data tests on them. You feel me? That's when people say Black Lives Matter, because, you know, like it's in our history. It's in our history, man. And, you know, black people are frustrated. How often do you want to see one of your own being gunned down? How often do you want to see your community being in shambles and investors saying that they don't want to invest until they feel like it can make them, you feel me, some money, versus they can make a better community? Like, you feel me? Like, understanding that, like, you can make a better community and putting the community first, even if it is a black community. So, yeah, I just want to touch on that, man. So I know that this may spark different type of conversation. I know that I might not everything I'm saying ain't gonna always be on point, you know, but then there's always room for us to create dialogue and have conversation. So I really just wanted to hop into it. give my opinion as well. Some of this is my opinion, but also some of this is also facts. The Black Lives Matter movement is just bringing awareness of the actual disparities that's been going on for the last few hundred years to African Americans, but just in general, it's bringing the social injustice, bringing awareness to social injustice. You feel me? Social injustice. That is what Black Lives Matter stands for. Social injustice. You feel me? Social injustice. I might have to say that one more time. Social injustice. You feel me? Which just means this goes on in our actual world. And this is the injustice that's been going on in this actual world for years. You feel me? For years. For years. But with the power of social media, we have been able to see the importance, the value, and the whole actual term and just movement. The reason I say term is because those are trigger words for certain individuals. You feel me? You gotta really understand that, man. Certain things are like trigger words. We learned that in SEO, like advertisement, marketing, and stuff like that. Been learning that. Trigger words, keywords. These things spark like a certain type of emotion once they said. You feel me? It triggers people to either do or say or think. You feel me? A certain, they just starting to make them think a certain type of way. So when you say Black Lives Matter, some gonna be like, oh shit, if I'm a different, damn, my life don't matter. Your life matter? Like, damn, why should Black Lives matter more than our lives? So now it starts to create that indifference, and then it's, instead of understanding and trying to learn about it, now you kind of push it like, oh, you think Black Lives Matter, my life matter, my husband lives matter. But it's like, just like, I want to say, somebody said that, like, every cop ain't bad, but every cop ain't good either. But there's nothing more worse than somebody that can see somebody that that this motherfucker fucked up, but you enable them to be in a position where they can keep fucking up other individuals, and you be silent about it. So you just as wrong as the other individual, because that's how they charge us. That's why we say Black Lives Matter. Like, you will literally get charged. You feel me? In America, you would charge somebody else for murder if they knew about the murder. They didn't even have to actually do the murder, but the fact that you knew about it and did nothing, because you were acknowledged and did nothing, they will try you for that. A lot of black people went down for that. A lot of black people went down for those type of scenarios too. So it's like for that, but we see that goes on in America, especially with these these cop these cop killing us, man. You feel me? These cops, they killing us, man. But and it's just saying just like little stuff like that, man. Like, just understanding that, and that's why we say like Black Lives Matter, because people are knowing that these things are happening, watching these things are happening, and nobody's being brought to justice. But when a black man shows up in court in our country, we have been shown this, we have seen this. A lot of black families deal with a lot of trauma of this, of seeing their family members being taken away for a lot of years for making one bad mistake. And you want us as a culture, black people that been through this type of trauma, of seeing this revolving trauma, to want an exception for somebody else when you say they made a mistake. The first thing that they gonna think is, when I made a mistake, you feel me, I got burned. When you made a mistake, you want me to turn the other cheek. Where's the justice in that? Where's the justice in that? So, I ain't gonna get too far and deep in that. But, comment. I would like to hear from y'all. I want to hear, what is y'all opinion? How do y'all feel about the whole Black Lives Matter movement? How do y'all feel about the social injustice that's going on in this world, but also in America? You feel me? And, Let's have a conversation, man. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You feel me? That free support is the best support. So if you want to support us, you ain't got no chips, you ain't got nothing like that, man, go ahead, like, share, subscribe. We will appreciate all the support we can get. And if you really fucking with us and you really want to help us reach the next level, man, you can, do a paid subscription, donate to the podcast, or you can go ahead, represent loud and proud, man, for real, be the voice of the culture. Go ahead, represent, and get some of that ends merch. Y'all see it hanging up at the top. And I ain't gonna talk your ear off, man. That's your boy Bass. Y'all tune in to Ends Podcast. We out. Peace.